Welcome to Empodérate de Chicanos por la Causa. How are you, Valeria?
Good. How are you?
Good. Ready to start a new episode. I love the fact that we have Empodérate to be able to have a space to share stories, especially about everyday community leaders that we want to make sure we shine a light on. And because there's always a lot that we can learn.
Exactly. I feel like every single episode that we have, I learned something new. It's always a piece of advice, kind of little dichos, how they say.
See that? Is the podcast that we didn't even know that we needed.
Exactly. I'm talking about dichos. There it is. There's another one.
Yeah.
But with no further ado, let's introduce Mr. David Solano. He's coach, he's a teacher, and he's also el mero mero de Solano's Low Limit Hoops. How are you, David?
I'm pretty good. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great. Thank you so much for coming to our studio here.
Thank you guys for inviting me. This is a cool event, cool thing to do.
Yeah, thank you. So why don't we start from the beginning? Where did you grow up? You're a native of Phoenix.
No, I was born and raised in Colorado.
Oh, is that right?
I was born and raised in Colorado, and I moved here when I was 13 years old. My dad got a job transfer, and so I came here. So what I kind of identify more with Phoenix now because I've been here. I'm kind of old now, so I've been here for a long time, and I identify with Arizona, and I love my roots of Arizona. Like I grew up in the West Side of Maryville area, and I just kind of like cling to that area, and I started teaching in that area, started coaching in that area, so I just kind of like love my Maryville area that we moved into when we moved to Phoenix in 1987.
Yeah, and that part of the valley, for people that may not know about, transition especially into the 90s with a higher population of Latino communities, Latino families there moving into that area.
Yes, when we moved here, there was not that many Latinos on my block that we lived on, and then little by little, I was like, wow. And coming from Colorado, I didn't know Spanish very well, and my neighborhood didn't have any Spanish at all either. But as the years went on, my neighborhood became very Spanish oriented, and I was like, I got to pick up some words here. I'm struggling.
Yeah.
And so it's weird. And even as a teacher, when I first started teaching, we only had maybe 5 to 7 Hispanic kids, where now I'm at like 30 Hispanic kids per class. So it's a big change over the last 40 years in that neighborhood.
Absolutely.
And how was that kind of change from being from Colorado coming into Arizona? Obviously, two completely different climates. And I feel like 13 is also that time where like you don't want to leave your friends and you're kind of like scared to like make new friends as well.
For me, it was harder because I'm disabled. And so in Colorado, everybody in my neighborhood knew who I was because they saw my arms. They knew who I was. They knew I was David. They knew I was a guy that lived down the block. And they knew me. So when I moved here, nobody knew me, so I was different. So it took me a while to find where I fit in. And it took me a while, like going to the stores regularly, like people were like, oh, that's David. And it wasn't that way anymore in Arizona. They were like, oh, who's this guy? He might need help. We might have to baby him a little bit. We might have to do this for him. And I think over time I just became who I am. Like the other day I went to a Wendy's with my daughter, and the lady was like, we know you so much. Like, what do you want? And I'm like, no, I'm going to buy food. They're like, no, we're going to get you food today. And my daughter was like, Dad, just take it. And I think it happens a lot in the west side of that area for me. And I think it's just because I've built that community inside of where I'm at, and they all know who I am. And it took a while. It didn't happen the first couple of years. It took a long time to build something in that community for myself.
And I know that you had also touched a little bit about how is that your parents were, very supportive about you and everything like that.
Oh, my parents were huge. My parents... When I read a lot of stories about people with disabilities and they're born, and sometimes the parents are mean to them or neglect one of them, or one of the parents will neglect one of them. My parents became like this power team. My dad was a strong, fierce guy who was like, we're going to muscle our way through it. And my mom was this comparing and compassionate one, like, we got to ease our way through everything. And whenever we had doors shut in our face, my dad was ready to go bust people up. And my mom was like, no, we got to smoothly figure out how to get David in that door. And we're going to get him in that door. And my dad gave me that power that when I got in that door, I wasn't going to be a wimp and a crybaby. That I was going to be strong and use my attitude to get what I wanted. Like, and I'll give you an example. In 1979, I wasn't allowed into public school.
Oh, wow.
Like, in today's world, that wouldn't happen. But in 1979, we were in a different world. There wasn't IDEA laws weren't in effect yet. And my parents fought them. And it wasn't an easy fight. It was actually a 3-year fight. I lived down the street from my elementary school. All my cousins were going there. But they ended up shipping me away to a school that was like 3 miles from my house. And my mom and dad, they fought that school for 3 years. They fought the school district. They fought everything. And after 3 years, we finally got in that door. And I can remember the day we were getting ready for school that day. And the reason they didn't let me in was there was 3 things I couldn't do in my life independently. I couldn't tie my shoes. I couldn't button my pants. And I couldn't open a milk carton. And the principal said, with those 3 things, he cannot be independent in our school. And so I still couldn't do them 3 years later. But we were getting ready for school. My mom was tying my shoes. And she said, David, when you finally get in the door that's been shut on you, don't be content with getting in that door. Show that you're the best. And I as an 8-year-old, I didn't know what she was talking about. I was like, whatever, Mom, my cousins are going to be there. I got to hurry up and go. And she told me that regularly throughout my life. And I remember that, and I was like, that's wild, because we talk about, like, getting doors shut on you. And in 1979, not being allowed in the room is pretty tough. And I didn't realize it was tough
You're
on me
rejected.
mentally, but it was tough on my parents mentally. And so it was a long battle to get in there.
So was there a particular moment for you growing up or as an adult when you realized that now you were going to be your own advocate after your parents had taught you that path?
I don't know if there was a specific moment. I remember my freshman year in high school. I had just moved to Phoenix between 8th grade and 9th grade a year. So I was like new to Phoenix. I was excited because we moved like in the winter time, but I didn't make a lot of friends because we were going to go to high school, so I didn't know who was going to go to the same high school as me. So I was ready to go to high school. I was like, yeah, I was ready. I was really athletic at that time. I wasn't in a wheelchair then. And I looked at my schedule. My schedule said first hour PE. And I said, oh, I'm going to go to PE. I'll catch the ball, do some funny stuff, and I'll make some friends. And I walked into PE that first day, and the guy gave me this lock. And I was like, oh, I've never done a lock before. I'd done tons of therapy in my life, but we never had a lock. And so I went to the lock, and I was playing with it, and I couldn't get it. And I was struggling with it. And then this big, tall PE teacher guy came over, and he's like, son, I got something better for you. So I was like, oh, maybe he has a better locker for me to use, or he's going to help me. So I started following him down the hallway, and we went down this long hallway, and he was tall, and I was short, and I was trying to keep up with him. I was like, oh, I can't keep up with this guy. He's fast. And then we get in this room, and it's the counselor's office, and he opens the door, and he's like, can somebody get this man somewhere else to go? He does not belong in my class.
Oh, wow.
And then I was like, are you serious? Like, it hurt me. I couldn't cry because freshmen can't cry. And I think there was juniors and seniors and sophomores in that office. And I'm like, I can't cry. I got to hold it in. And I went home that night, told my parents went back, they fought the school, but I wasn't allowed to be in PE. I wasn't allowed to be in PE at all. My mom and dad said, sometimes we have to lose a fight. She's like, we're not really losing this fight. We're just going to take the second fiddle for this one. We're gonna go backwards. And I'm like, but we want to fight. And I was like, no. My mom and dad like, nope, you're not going to do PE. We're sorry. You're going to be an office assistant for your PE requirements. So I trudged along being there. I was mad about it. I was mad, but then my senior year came around, and my friends they were doing this basketball thing after school, and I was really good at basketball this time. And we were playing, and my friends and I were like, come on, David, you're going to come and play with us? I said, no, the guy won't let me in. And they're like, don't worry, we'll let you in. He won't say nothing to you. So we got in there, and I was playing with them, and every week we'd have games, and at the end we had like a little championship he had, and we were playing the game, and I hit the game-winning shot over the coach's favorite player. And I remember I turned around and I just hollered at him like, booyah! And I looked at him, and all my anger left. All my anger, I hollered at him. I wanted to say a bad word, but I don't cuss. And I hollered in his face, and I had his stomach because he was tall. And I was like, and all the anger just left my body. All of it. Because I know when he went home that night, he probably said to himself, I was probably wrong about that kid. He may not have said it out loud to me, but he probably said that to his wife at night. He probably said that maybe in his head on his drive home. Maybe I was wrong. And then the funniest thing was the ladies became my friends in the office, the secretaries and everything. They introduced me to a man who gave me a full ride scholarship to college. So if I didn't go that route, I may have never met those ladies like I did, and they would have never introduced me to a guy to give me a full ride scholarship. So in the end, do I thank that guy for kicking me out of PE? Because he introduced me to these. So I was torn by that. But that was one of the biggest things for me. And I think my mom told me, she said, sometimes you have to fight by yourself, David. She said, sometimes we're going to be by you. Sometimes we're going to be behind you. Sometimes we're going to be in front of you. but eventually you can be by yourself, you know. And that was a big one. When I hollered back at him, my mom said I'd never to cuss at people. I hollered back at him. I just felt the relief in my body, like, wow, we're done. I can now not hate this man anymore. Because for 4 years I had hate for him. Every time I saw him in the hallway, I just didn't like him. But after that, the last couple of weeks of school, I was like, I don't mind that guy. I don't care no more.
You prove him wrong.
Yes.
Yeah, very, very cool. And what kind of got you into basketball?
I loved sports growing up. I loved everything about sports. My dad and I are huge Denver Bronco fans. We went to Bronco games my whole life, and I couldn't play football because they didn't know my body would handle the beating of a football game, and I could catch a ball and do everything. And I picked up when I moved here. I didn't know anybody, and in our apartment complex we had a basketball hoop, and so I asked my dad to buy me a basketball. And every day I went out there and I shot around. And every day I went out there and I missed 100 shots or 500 shots, 600 shots. But little by little, I started to figure out how to make a basket. And it took a while. It took the whole summer probably. And I didn't think I could play in the game. And then one day a bunch of kids came up and I'm like, whenever other kids come up, I'd always go hide in the bushes because I want to shoot around with them. And then one of these guys were like, hey, you want to come and play ball with us? And I was like, yeah, I'll try it out, I guess. And I started realizing I can play basketball with everybody else. And we became friends with those guys, and little by little, I became a basketball player. I wasn't ever ready to play like high school basketball, but I was ready to play at any park in the city of Phoenix. In the 90s, if anybody went to a basketball park and they didn't know who I was, then they weren't really a basketball player. Because in the 90s, I was really popular in the city of Phoenix for basketball.
Wow. And how did you do kind of that transition between like to become a teacher?
Well, I always thought about it as every year when I was in school, a teacher would discriminate against me because of my handicap. Like I told you guys, when in 1779, I wasn't allowed to go to public school. Then when I was allowed in public school, I wasn't allowed in the PE room. Or sometimes the PE teacher would be like, well, he can never get an A in my class because we changed stuff, so he can never get an A. And I was like, man. And then some teachers would be rude to me about, like, my writing was really sloppy in the beginning. So they'd always give me an F for writing. And I'm like, I'm trying to write, I'm trying. And I wanted to be the different teacher that didn't have that hold kids back, because I wanted to be the special teacher. Like I had special therapists that worked with me. I had my mom that was my like personal therapist, and I wanted to be like them, helping me to get better. I wanted to help other kids get better. And I looked around my community and I was like, why don't teachers look like me? I don't know any teachers that were Mexican at that time. I looked around and not one teacher I had was brown. And I was like, why do we not have brown teachers? And I was just like, I think I need to be a teacher. And when I got the full scholarship, I told my mom, I think I'm going to go to be a teacher because I can't be a mechanic. My hands aren't going to work to be a mechanic. My hands are going to work to do a lot of hand stuff, but my brain will work to be a teacher. And I can be a teacher, and I can say, like, now these kids have had a brown teacher in their life. And I think that's huge for some kids because, you know, like our staff at our school is like 85% non-Mexican, but our janitorial staff is 100% Hispanic. And I'm like, we got to shoot to be the other level. And we got to tell these kids that they can go to a higher level, not shoot to be the middle part of it, you know, shoot to be the top.
Help us do better. What should we unlearn when we welcome somebody with different abilities to a room? What is it that we do that we shouldn't do? And what is it that we should be doing?
That's tough because they say not to stare, but I think it's okay to stare. Because our brain is trained to stare at whatever looks different. Well, I look different than you, so you should probably stare for a minute. Like, and I know like a lot of parents will tell their kids, don't stare at them. I'm like, it's okay, I'm not offended. Why am I gonna be offended by a 5-year-old staring? A 5-year-old sees something different, they're gonna stare and they're gonna ask questions. An adult, the same thing, because maybe adults didn't have an interaction with them. And I think with kids in my class, when I teach the first day of school, they all stare at me. And so I tell them, you guys, it's okay to stare today. It's all right. I don't care. You can ask me any question you want. It don't bother me. I go, let's just get it out of the air. By day 2, they don't stare as much. By day 3, they don't stare at all. And by day 4, they don't even know I'm different. And it's just part of, I think sometimes it's the disabled person has to put on the show that I'm not going to ask for every accommodation. I'm going to be in the room and I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to be genuine to who I am. I'm not going to be like, hey, you need to help me because I'm different. No, if you want to help me, you can help me if I need help. But for the most part, I make sure that I can do whatever I can do independently. But I'm not going to force myself to fit in. I'm like, if I need help, I'm like, hey, will you open this water bottle for me? And it's no big deal. You know, it's, to me, if you open the water bottle, if you say no, then I'm like, okay, then you don't want to open the water bottle. And, you know, it's just, that's how people are. But I don't know. I think it's tough because we don't have a lot of interactions with disabled people. I read a thing online a couple of years ago, and it said like 19% of all disabled people have a career. That's pretty scary when it's 19%. Like,
Very low.
that's low, and I know I'm in that 19%, and I'm like, I don't know. The way I got there was through my parents' love, through my parents' belief of we're going to get through this. Because when I was born, the doctors told my mom and dad, your son's not gonna walk, your son's not gonna ride a bike, he's not gonna hold a pencil, he's probably not gonna be able to dress himself. And so my parents were like, we got to figure this out. And they flipped at that time the yellow pages to find places to help me out. And they found this place in Colorado called Sewell Rehabilitation Center, and they were a therapeutic place that thought outside the box. And that place took me places. That place allowed me to be where I am today. And if it wasn't for them, I probably would still be stuck in that other 81% of people that don't have a career.
What has been your favorite part about being a teacher?
Oh, that's tough. I don't know. It's fun to have kids come back and visit you. It's fun to have kids come back and bring in invitations to college graduation. It's fun to see kids now that I taught. The girl that's in my first class I ever taught, she ended up becoming the godmother to my youngest daughter. And that's kind of cool to see them. It's kind of weird because they come to my house and we do events and they're like calling me Mr. Solano. I'm like, I'm David now. Like, you are 36 years old. You do not have to say Mr. Solano anymore. And she'll watch this and she's going to laugh too. She'll even send me a text, Mr. Solano. I'm like, girl, I am David. You don't have to address me as Mr. Solano. We're all like only like 13 years apart. Like, you don't have to say that. And I'll be at a birthday party and she'll be like, Mr. Solano, do you want a cake? And I'm like, I'm not. Like, that's fun. But I don't know. I think the greatest part is just seeing the kids get older and know that I didn't mess it up. Know that I gave them something to believe in. When, like, last summer, this kid, I taught him in 2001 or 1999 in that area. And he sent me a message on Instagram and he's like, hey, Mr. Solano, can we meet? I want you to meet my kids. And I was like, yeah, we'll go meet. And we went to Westgate and then he wanted to buy dinner and he bought me some Denver Bronco gear. And we hung out for like a couple of hours just talking. And it was stuff like that is cool. Stuff like that is, I know our school district talks about building relationships. And I think I've built them with different kids over the years. And it's great. Like, you figure, like, I had him in 99 or 2000 and he still reached out to say, let's talk and meet. That means you left a lasting impression in his head. And he wanted me to meet his wife and his kids. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us about your belt.
Oh, Solano's No Limit Hoops. That's the coolest thing right there. Our belt is a pride of Maryville. Maryville doesn't know that, but all the kids in Maryville know that.
We know that.
All the kids in Maryville know that that's the pride of Maryville. If you hold that up on a Tuesday or Thursday night, that means you're the king of our neighborhood for that night. And they love holding that belt up. They come to my gym with the dream to hold that up. So I've even asked the kid, hey, they're like, I haven't won yet. I'm like, you want to take a picture with it? They're like, no, not till I earn it. Not till I earn it. I think it was like 10 years ago, I was talking to a bunch of kids and I was like, why are you guys all falling out of school? Why are you struggling? What's going on? They're like, we have nothing to do, coach. And I was like, what do you mean nothing to do there? I'm like, go join all these leagues. They're like, everything's expensive. And I was like, well, join the YMCA. Let's go do the YMCA. I called the YMCA. It was like $135 a kid. I was like, oh, shoot, never mind, dude. Like, you're out of luck. There's no help for you. And I called some other leagues up, and it's like, $75, $95. And families in that community can't afford that. They just can't afford that. And I was like, well, why can't I just I coach at a school, And after our basketball season is over, the gym just sits empty. It collects dust all winter long, all spring and winter. And I'm like, why can't we just open it up? And so I didn't realize there was a lot of rules you had to follow to do all that. And so I tried going all of these different avenues and different routes. I won't put them on blast on your show, though. and I tried to go, and everybody kept on telling me no. Everywhere I went, they said, no, we don't want that. I'm like, you guys, we got to get these kids because these 13 to 20-year-olds are failing in our community. The mall is struggling because these kids go to the mall and they ransack the mall. But where are they going to go? They don't want to stay at home because they're going to play video games. And we get mad at kids who play video games too much. And then we get mad at them when they're on the streets doing bad stuff, but there's nowhere for them to go. So then I said, well, let me figure out how to open the gym up. And then in 2017, this lady wrote a story about me. And she was going to be in the newspaper. And then she heard me talking on the phone one day during one of her interviews about trying to open a gym and trying to find out the right process. And she said, tell me about your dream and your idea. And I was like, I kind of told her what I wanted to open up a gym for kids to be safe and have fun. And she said, I'm going to put that in your story and we'll see what happens. She's all, it might blow up, it might not. She's like, but your story will go to that part of your life. And I'm like, that sounds good. I was like, I thought it was going to be like a 2-paragraph story. I didn't know it was going to be a 4-page Arizona Republic story. It was a huge one. It was front page on Thanksgiving Day. And I was like, wow, this is like big. And then they did like a 3-minute video about my life. And it was really cool. And the story came out and all of a sudden people were like emailing me and calling me like, let's start up something. Let's start up a nonprofit. Let's do a program. And I was like, dude, I have no idea. So then one guy called me and he said, hey, let's get together. I'll teach you how to do a nonprofit, get you started. We'll make you a budget, and then you send the budget to all these people and see how much they'll pitch in. And I remember there was this one man, he was like, I don't know who you are, but your budget is good. I'm going to send you the whole check tomorrow. And I was like, do you want to meet in person or go meet at the store? He's like, no, we'll meet later. Don't worry, we'll meet later. And then another man and wife were like, they sent me the whole budget too. And they're like, nope. I'm like, we already have it. They're like, nope, save it for next year. You'll be good. And I was like, wow. And it blew me away and I remember telling the kids on opening night was, you don't realize how many people don't want you to fail. And it was amazing because a lot of them, our community sometimes is built on failure. We just know we're going to fail because we're not used to success. And I tell the kids, we have to believe in success. We have to believe in it. We have to believe in winning. And they have nowhere to go to learn how to win. They don't have the right family structure to learn how to win. And they don't have the right mentality to go learn how to win. And so I told them, guys, look, I got all this money from random people around the valley. All around the valley. I go, people from Scottsdale donated over $5,000 to help us out. I go, they care that you're not failing. Don't say they don't care about you because they gave out $1,000 to say that they care about you. I go, they care about us and they don't want us to fail anymore. They want us to see us succeed. And that's what I tell the kids. I go, I want you to succeed. And the biggest part is you have to believe in it.
Yep. What are the values that sports teach our kids, especially 13 to 15-year-olds that you were talking about earlier?
The values is teamwork. Teamwork is huge. I've been coaching teams since 1998, and it's kind of weird because every now and then, like, they'll have a party for one of their kids and they'll invite me, and there'll be like 3 or 4 or 5 kids from my 1998 to 1999 team. And I'll go to another thing and there'll be kids from my 2003 to my 2005 team there. And it's always weird. They built that camaraderie between the groups. And I remember sometimes they come to my Solano Hoops a couple of years ago, and they'd come in different groups, and it was weird because I never mingled with them all together. And then they would talk and they would compare me. Well, he was nicer to you, he was meaner to me. But that camaraderie and that teamwork that they build is fun. And a lot of them would be like, oh, we had the walking Mr. Solano, so he was a lot better. And they're like, but we went to Sonic, and I'm like, I don't take anybody to Sonic anymore. So the kids were like, and I remembered when the rapper DMX died a couple of years ago, all these kids were messaging me, Coach, are you okay? DMX died. Remember him always in your car, listen to him in your car all the time. And because we used to, drive a lot of them around. And I think building the sports part of it just builds that camaraderie and the belief system that some of these kids don't have. It gives them that family effect. And that they need that family effect. And when I went to build Solano's No Limit Hoops, that's what I went off of. I didn't want to build a team. Because if I build a team, I get 10 kids. You're only affecting 10 kids. Don't tell me you're doing a good job. We have a community. On some nights, we get 85 to 90 basketball players in our gym. That's community. That's helping 85 to 90 kids stay off the streets. If I had a team, I only have 10. That's not really, you're not making an effect.
And so the belt, people within that night get a chance, or the kids get a chance to carry. And can you describe the belt?
They play games for 2.5 hours. And at the end of the night, the team with the most wins, they get a hold of the belts. And they do a 30-second promo on our Instagram page.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they just want to be Instagram famous on our page. They just want to blow up. And they want to try to get more views than everybody else does. And it's a gimmick. It's fun. And they love it to death. They come in, they're like, I'm going to hold that tonight. That's mine tonight. Everybody else, you better go home. And they're like, and I'm like, it's fun. Like we like them arguing about it. We like it because when they lose it and they don't get it, they're like, I'm going to get it tomorrow. I'm going to get it next time. So it gives them something to shoot for. It gives them something to think about, you know?
Absolutely.
And so it's fun. That's a huge part of what we do.
And what's kind of been like one of the moments that like maybe like I don't know if there was a moment that you're like you sat there and you're like, wow, like this is so cool, like what I built, like kind of taking like a seeing the bigger picture type of.
I think a couple of years ago, the Phoenix Suns offered us a night, and the Suns came out and they gave us they had the gorilla and the Mercury mascot came out, and so did a couple of former players came out, and watching the kids' joy with that, like they got the mascot by themselves. You know, you go to a game and you got to hope the mascot goes by you, and then you got to fight like millions of people for a photo with him. And this one, the mascot was playing basketball with the kids, and the mascot was messing around with all of them, taking pictures. And on that night, they let us make 150 Solano No Limit shirts with the Suns logo on it. And I was like, wow, like, this was just an idea that nobody wanted in 2015. All the leaders, all the political leaders I went to help build this told me no. They said it was dumb. It's a bad idea. And here we are in 2008. I think it was 22, and the Phoenix Suns are in our gym. And the Phoenix Suns are like, Coach, we love what you do. And they gave me this Coach of the Year award. And I was like, wow. Like, Coach of the Year from the Phoenix Suns? Like, that they see all these high school coaches, they see all these other coaches, and they said, you're the Coach of the Year, Coach. And they gave it to me in front of all the kids. And the kids were like, you know, they're like, yeah, Coach, that was a cool thing. I'm going to cry, so I can't talk about it. But that was one of the biggest moments that said, wow, we made it. Like, we are here. We you know, we are legitimate. And when we went to one of their events, we were sitting there with like the heads of the YMCA, the head of the Boys and Girls Club, and the head of all these some other Girl Scouts of America. And I was like, how are we sitting with these people? But then I remember my mom telling me, like I told you guys earlier, when you get in the door that's been shut on you, don't be content with getting in. Show that you're the best. And we were showing that we were the best. And I think that's what we've done with our Solano No Limit Hoops.
Yeah, you're slamming those doors.
Yeah, we're opening them up. And you don't always see a disabled man or a Hispanic man in a wheelchair coaching a basketball game. And when you come to it, it's fun to watch because I'm super loud, I'm super crazy, and it's fun. It's a different. It teaches the kids that anything is possible, like the back of our shirt says.
It seems as though like what you do is not just you teach outside of the basketball court. You know, I think that a lot of the teachings that you kind of put out, they could apply it to their everyday lives. Maybe not even just in the classroom, but outside of the
and I do hear the
too.
kids say that a lot. I hear the kids, like the older ones that have been working now, they say like we go the same way that you went with us. You're always loud. If somebody tells you no, you get mad because I know I live a good life but if you were to stay with me for a month and follow me around, you would see how rudely I get treated. And even though like I'm still a big person in the community, I still go to games and I get treated rudely. Like this year, I asked a lady for a Band-Aid. I said, hey, one of my kids got a Band-Aid. She came and she threw it at me. And I said, are you going to pick that up? And she said, no. And she kept on walking away. And I said, ma'am, you got to pick up that Band-Aid right now because I didn't ask you to throw it at me. And she kept on walking away. I said, okay, boys, tonight you're going to embarrass this team. I go, we're not holding no punches. We're not holding nothing back. You go and you embarrass them for that lady throwing that Band-Aid at me. And the boys said, understood, Coach. And then they won by like 70 points. And I said, and we're not going to let up. We're not going to be nice and be like, oh, let's only win by 30. No, we were going to win by 100 that night. We were going to go teach that lady a lesson. And after the game was over, she came over and she was still kind of rude. And I was like, should have picked up the Band-Aid. Should have picked it up because I'm not going to be nice all the time when you're rude to me. And it's the same, like I get ref differently by referees. And like in my book that I have, I went 2 years without an opposing coach shaking my hand after a game.
Why?
I don't know why. I personally believe they didn't believe that a man with a disability could beat them. That's what I think, but I don't know if it's true. But for 2 years, they would never shake my hand. We would line up to shake hands after a game was over, and they'd go by, and when it was my turn, and they would just turn around and go the other way. And for a while, some of my kids would make fun of it. We'd like laugh, and we'd like fake shake hands in front of people and stuff. And it was different that way. I think it made me angry inside, but it also made me want to win games more. Because I'm like, if you're not going to do that, we're going to keep beating everybody. And we're going to keep beating you, and we're going to keep beating you. And it was funny because the first time I got a handshake was after a loss. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird. Like, you beat me and you want to shake my hand? And it was because I had a 25-game winning streak my first 2 years. A 25-game winning streak in a state championship. I was showing that I was the best in the room. And I was like, and I didn't care because I said the championship validated that I belonged there. The championship validated it. And this year was my last year coaching basketball, and we went undefeated and won the championship again. So I ended the way I started, and that's and I tell the kids that we're all about victory. We're all about being successful. And some of these kids, in games, they get a little scared because they're not used to winning.
Yeah.
And it takes them a while to figure out we got to win, and when we have a chance to win big, we win big. We don't let up.
And I know you talked a little bit, about your book. So what motivated you to write that book?
A couple of years ago, I did a keynote speech in Colorado. They called me up to do a keynote speech, and I didn't know how to do a speech. I never did a speech. I teach the kids all day long, but I never did a speech. And I did this, I think it was like a 25-minute speech up there. And after I was done, everybody was like, "Where's your book at?" And I was like, "I don't have no dang book." Oh, there's no book. And then people were like, "Well, if you have a book, we'll get more speaking engagements." And I was like, "Well, that's not going to happen." And so a little bit after the pandemic, I was like, "Well, maybe I should just sit and write something out." And so after the pandemic, I just sat there 1 month. I do this summer basketball camp. And after the camp, every day I would go home and just write. And little by little, the book just came out. And I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool. It's different." And a lot of the kids were like, "Coach, all the articles that are about you in the news, they're not the same as what you tell us. They're like, you're a little bit nicer in these other interviews. They're like, you're not telling us the real Mr. Solano sometimes." And they said the book was a little more me, and they liked the book a lot more than how I do in interviews and stuff like that.
You mentioned about your daughters always coming with you. What do you teach them and others when you have them with you?
I love having my daughter. I'm a girl dad, and that's my main thing. I think being a girl dad is the coolest thing in the world. I used to get tired of going to Claire's and some of the girl stores. I'm like, can we just go to the sports store? I'm tired of the girl store. But it's been fun, though. It's fun, and I think having them with me, they see what we're doing. And I know, like, when we go places in Maryville or in West Phoenix, a lot of people know me. They come up and they're like, "Can we take a picture? Can we say hi to you?" And they want to just talk. And my daughter, my little one, likes it a lot. My big one's like, "Let's just keep moving." But they're always at everything I go to. And I think it teaches them that we're real people, that I don't know how to say it. But it just teaches them that my dad is something big. And my dad is special. And even though that my dad is special, they're still special for me because they have to be there. Solano's No Limit Hoops doesn't work without my daughters. It doesn't work without my wife. It doesn't work without all of us because we're a team, and they need to be there. Like, they help with certain parts that I don't help with, that I don't do. And like, now that my little one's getting older, we had to like explain to her, you have to help in the gym. You can't just always play. And so like this night, like I needed some help her to do something. She's like, "Hey, you gotta go do that real quick." And so she was quick about doing that. But in the beginning, we were like, "You got to be a helper now because you're not little anymore." And so, but it's fun to have them. And I think secondly, it teaches the boys that I work with and the girls that I'm with that I'm a dad first. Yes, I'm coach. And I know some of the boys would tell my daughter, some of the older boys would tell my daughter that they would call me dad to her sometimes. Not in front of me, but just to her. And they would just mess with her like that. And I think it teaches them, like, when you have kids, you can take your kids places with you. You don't have to leave them home. Take them with you so they can experience what you're experiencing. They can be there. Like, every time I get an award, I take them. I always ask if I can take both of them. Because I'm like, I don't care about food. If you want to do food, I don't eat anyway. So let me take both my daughters with me so we can have them both at the events. And it shows them, like, how what we're doing is mattering to other people. Not just to the kids in our gym, but the outside world that comes and sees what we're doing. They're like, well, it's important for that.
Yeah.
And it actually led to my daughter getting 2 scholarships in college, this past fall, because they saw what she was doing and how she was. They call it volunteer work, but we just call it going to work. But they were calling. I didn't realize that it was volunteer work for her, but the scholarships counted as volunteer work, and we were like, we'll say that for the scholarship, but it's not really volunteer work. It's just what we do on a daily basis.
Voluntold, how they say.
Yeah, voluntold. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. And so what's kind of, I think you touched a little bit about how is that this is going to be your last year teaching. You're going to be retiring soon, 28 years, correct? So what's kind of next for you?
I don't know. I think I'm going to start pushing my book out a little more to see where it goes, to see if it leads to more speaking engagements around places. I think it's time to share the story, share where I've come from. Because you got to think, not being allowed in a school in 79, but yet given the keys to the classroom in 1998, like, that's a full circle moment. You're not allowed in the room, but now you're allowed in the front of the room. And it wasn't because I cried. It was because I worked hard to get to the front of the room. I wasn't allowed in the PE room, but yet now I'm the head of the basketball team. Like, you can't, and it wasn't because I cried and fought, though. It was because I worked hard to get there. And I think that story needs to be told to people in our community. It needs to be told not just to disabled people, but to Hispanic people, to my young black kids that come to my gym, and to my young white kids in our neighborhood. They need to be told that they can do this, that they can fight to get through everything to get to the top. And if they keep working without complaining and crying, things can happen. And I think that's the next step of I need to start doing to get that out there more. And just to build Solano Hoops into something bigger that we're already proud of it, but make it something that a little more well-known around the valley.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. Amazing work. Long-lasting for sure. After all those years and so many kids, they didn't have anybody else, but they had you there to look up. What do you do for fun, though? Do you have any plans to do something fun after or right now?
I don't know. I take my daughters on vacation, probably my wife and daughters on vacation. I like to do Legos a lot. I'm always doing Legos at home. I have like a whole Lego setup, and so I always play with Legos on my free time when at home. I like to sit around and do Legos and just hang out at the house. And I do bike rides. I do this funny one for the Denver Broncos, and I actually went viral this year. And I got we posted it online. I don't know. I did put it on Instagram and on TikTok. And I don't even know how to use TikTok. I just put it on there. And the next morning I woke up and I had 2 million views.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, what is this? I was like, and then there was some other TikToks that I followed. They were like, can you be on our TikTok? And I was like, what? I was like, and I
pay partnerships for No Limit.
Yeah,
Hoops.
so I was like, well, this
has
got crazy. So then TikTok was like, make more videos. I'm like, I only do them when the Denver Broncos win. I don't
So never.
Yeah, I'm like, no. Uh-oh. So it was so funny. It went crazy this year. That's so funny. But yeah, it was good. It's
yeah.
That's good. And I didn't talk about it, but I also share, we talked with the kids a lot. We talked about the power of yet. And I didn't mention that when I was talking to you guys. And the power of yet is what my mom and dad instilled in me when I was younger. And the word yet, like the simplest word, three letters, once, and it's just, but the power of it was so immeasurable for me. Because there were things I couldn't do when I was younger. I couldn't open a bag of chips. I couldn't tie my shoes. I couldn't do things. And I would get mad. My mom was like, you can't do it yet. And I was like, what the heck? It's like, David, you can't do it yet. And she's like, keep trying. Keep doing other stuff. It'll happen. And I was like, no, I want to do it now. And the power of yet taught me to keep working to do stuff. Because if I tell my brain I can't do it, my brain already shuts down and says, "Oh, just give up. Oh, well, who cares?" But if I say I can't do it yet, then the brain's like, "Oh, wait, we're still working to get to that main goal." And so that's what, like, when we're kids, I'm going to teach math, and we're teaching a hard subject. The kids like, "I can't do it." I'm like, "Can't do it yet. Maybe tomorrow you'll figure this out. Today, let's work on getting the first couple of steps down. Tomorrow, we'll work on the next couple of steps. We're not trying to figure out the whole thing right away because it might be too hard for you. You know, some kids figure it out right away, but some kids don't. And the other kids, they need that power of yet to teach them, well, I'm going to learn step by step how to get it done. And maybe over 3 days, it takes them 3 days. Maybe it takes them 4 days. But over time, it helps them get to where they need to go. And that power of yet is what taught me, like, not being in the classroom to being a teacher. That power of yet taught me to keep working to get there. And it helps me stay with my patients to not be upset. Like, I remember I had 3 boys that came to me 3 years ago in 6th grade, and they were really good basketball players. But I didn't play them a lot because I told them, guys, you're just not there yet. You're going to be okay. I go, you're just not there yet to dominate a game yet. You're too little still. You're small. And they would get mad at me. Coach, I want to play. I need more time. And their 7th grade year, I told them, you'll be all right. Next year's your year. I go, next year, my last year, you're going to win a championship. I guarantee you, because you're following my plan of working hard. And this year when we won the championship, they were like, Coach, you were right. We did it the right way. We did the power of yet got us here. We followed the right line to not give up and not try to push and try to force our way through everything. We just gradually moved along. And they were the champs this year. So you can't take that away, you know, and the power of yet allowed them to believe in that.
That's so powerful, not giving up. The power of yet. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for coming here today, but also for the long-standing impact that you're making in the kids in underserved communities and through your families and no limit hoops. We know that it's going to continue and that legacy.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll catch you guys later.